Hi, this is Greg Beckett, motivational hypnotist. Another episode of Time to Get Unstuck. I'm really excited about my guest today. It's someone that I've known for a while, but not really been able to have long conversations with and get in depth. It's Jess Marion, and she has a lot of information behind her that we're going to get to, and a word, of course. And now, Time to Get Unstuck, as some of you may or may not know, it's about moving forward. And we take a word that's been important in my guest or my journey or our clients collectively, and take that word for a conversation. So today we have Jess Marion. She is HNLP, NLP, and also NLP trainer. She's a hypnotist. She also she's a trainer for hypnosis. She is an author and co-founder of the intelligenthypnotist.com. And interesting enough, she's a weightlifter. So that's a lot of stuff and a lot of information. I'm looking forward to getting to it. Thank you, Jess, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this all week, so this is going to be great.
Yeah, and you just had a happy birthday.
I did, thank you.
So the word today that we decided on was curiosity. So I'll let you take it because you said, hey, Greg, how about curiosity? And I'm like, well, I'm curious, so let's go.
Sure. So the reason why I chose curiosity is it's a philosophy that I pretty much live my life by. I think for practitioners in the fields of hypnosis, coaching, NLP, I don't have a lot of rules, but I think this is a state and attitude that all of us ought to have because it makes us better practitioners. And since the theme of your program is about getting unstuck, curiosity is one of the fastest states and one of the fastest attitudes that will get us unstuck in terms of moving out of and moving beyond problems, or even when we don't have problems, sometimes people just kind of like feel stuck where they are. Curiosity will get things moving again. So it's a really powerful attitude. It's a really powerful state to have. So that's why I chose it. It's how I live my life. It's like one of my top values,
right?
Just low freedom. So it's an important one.
When we spoke a week or two ago about doing the show and you said curiosity, I said, okay, I had to actually think about it afterwards because I try to be pretty amenable and because I get to learn, right? And as I thought about curiosity, I thought about how it helps you not be defensive.
Yes.
When you're trying, that's what came to me. It's like, oh, instead of going, well, why did they say that? You can be curious. Why did you say that? Or why don't I like this? Well, yeah, why don't I like this? I know I don't want to do that. Well, why? Why don't I? It takes almost like that hard edge off of trying to move forward. Is that my right in that I try to delve into it in my mind before I got here today?
I absolutely agree. This is, for anyone who is on the personal development path, the spiritual path, just wanting to, live a better, fuller life. When we have problems, the natural kind of instinct, and we actually know where this happens in the brain, the natural instinct is to reject it, is to push against it. If we think about problems as they exist in neural networks. And what ends up happening is something called a boundary condition is formed around it, meaning when we're in the problem, we don't have access to a lot of the other really resourceful neurological networks that we have that could actually change the problem. It's really difficult to change a problem when we're inside of it. So even the question of why, we have to be a little bit careful about because that kicks off something called the default mode network, which is the part of our brain whose sole job it is to kind of maintain our story about ourselves, our story about the world around us. The DMN is a great thing, so it lets us function as kind of like normal human beings on a day-to-day basis. But if it becomes overactive, then it becomes really difficult to change. So instead of asking why, if we become curious about how, then we start to free things up. If you become curious, about how we're creating a particular state or how it is we're staying stuck, now it takes that problem and it starts to transition it more into a skill. So this is a natural reframe. And if we know how we're doing it, at least now we have a better understanding of how we might be able to change it. The next thing that curiosity does is if you fully embody it, and it has to be like embodied. It's not just like, oh, that's interesting and like kind of a glib throwaway. If we actually embody the state and what it's like to be curious, like a child learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to cause two important neurotransmitters to be released. It's going to cause the release of dopamine, which is essential for learning. And when we're moving out of problems, when we're becoming unstuck, when we're introducing motion again in our lives, this is a moment of learning. Mm-hmm. So we want to encode it as learning. We want to learn, take the message from what was happening when we were stuck, learn from it so that we don't, encounter that again later in life. The next thing that curiosity helps to trigger is BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is the chemical that creates new stem cells in the brain. It's not the only thing that creates the release of BDNF, but curiosity opens us to novel experience. And it's the embodiment of novel experience that leads to the production of BDNF, which is really great if you're interested in neurogenesis and really leveraging your neurology and your brain power.
That's a lot of information. I hope people rewind and go over it again, because it was really a lot of great information. Now I had 3 or 4 questions in there.
Sure.
When you were talking about the how, but just before that, when we're stuck,
mm-hmm.
Are we talking about at all that fight or flight mode that we get in when we're in it? We can't see out of it because we're trying to protect ourselves, or the status quo. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah. So the flight, it's an interesting thing. There's actually some new research on this. I think it was Porges, the guy who did the polyvagal stuff. I think he talks about this now. You'll have to forgive me. I cannot remember this guy's first name, but if you look up polyvagal theory, you'll find him. He talks about fear as being fight and flight is a part of the amygdala. So that's right. Our first response, and it's actually fight, flight, freeze, or
right.
flock.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really transient. That exists for a real small window of time. We're talking under a minute. Mm-hmm. Because in terms of evolution, if we were sitting around in fight or flight for 10 minutes, the tiger would have eaten us. Mm-hmm. So that's really momentary. But what happens is that becomes, whatever triggered that becomes a part of our biography. It mm-hmm. might become part of our biography in a small way. So like, oh yeah, I watched that scary movie and I jumped. It's kind of meaningless. Or for people who get stuck or have problems, it can generalize in big ways. People who have phobias mm-hmm. have this really entrenched. People who are stuck because they're afraid of the next step. They're afraid of uncertainty. They're afraid right. of the unknown. Right. Now, we're not even fight or flight. We're back into the DMN again. We're back into the default mode network. We're back into the story that we're telling ourselves. Mm-hmm. And it kind of creates like this vicious feedback loop, because right. we have the thoughts, then we feel bad, then we don't take action, then we have more thoughts about the fact that we didn't take action. So we create a meta problem.
I'm raising my hand right now to say, yes, I've been there.
Yeah, we all have.
And sometimes I'm there today.
Yeah, it's a natural thing. We all experience it. One way, and I really like this reframe, and it helps you to step into how I am going to mercilessly liberate this from my very, very good friend, John Overdurf. He says that the another word for the unknown mm-hmm. or uncertainty mm-hmm. Is opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yep. He might use another word, but it's the general idea.
No, I like that word opportunity, because it's an opportunity to either learn, grow, move into something new. It's yep. an opportunity, and we move towards opportunity typically.
Yeah. The actual word that he does use is potential, so it's in that same category. So yep. now you have 2 anchors on that.
Yeah, I'll take potential too. I'll just yep, I'll take it.
So if you start recognizing the unknown and uncertainty as potential and opportunity, then you can start asking how in a really effective way. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to help transition out of a stuck feeling or out of a problem. It doesn't mean that you'll necessarily get all the answers.
Right.
If just asking how solved every problem, we wouldn't have clients. Right. But it puts you at cause, meaning it puts us in a role of responsibility. Uh-huh. So that we can start doing things to create the change and get life moving again.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, because I had a few questions on that first part that we're doing, right?
Sure.
So when you were talking about curiosity and being childlike, and I
Mhm.
totally get it, being as almost like, oh, let's look at it in almost an innocent way of curiosity. But there also, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there has to be a willingness
Yes.
to be able to step into that, or to step into that, or out of your loop, whatever we want to call it, to
Yeah.
do that, right?
Yeah. If someone's not willing to change, then, you know, you could have the best tools in the world and they're likely gonna, they're either at best case scenario, not going to change.
Right.
Well, not going to change in a substantial enough way. They will change. Or B, they have a really bad time, really bad experience of trying to be like being forced into a change.
Right.
So yeah, you have to be willing. You have to say, you know what, what's happening right now isn't working. I want a better quality of experience. How can I get there?
Right. Um, how do you use curiosity in your approach to weightlifting?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Thank
Nobody's ever
you.
asked me that one. I love it. Yeah. I'd have to say my main curiosity with weightlifting, it's twofold. It's A, how far can I push my physiology?
Right.
So how far can I take it in terms of not necessarily like being like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like big muscle
Right.
mass, but how far can I push my body to keep achieving the next step, the next step, the next step.
Mhm.
The next curiosity I have, I do powerlifting, but my real love, I love Olympic lifting, and I love it because it is it's a really technical skill.
Mhm.
And I used to be a dancer, and that's the only thing I can compare it to in terms of skill set. It
Mhm.
isn't just picking things up and putting it down, as much as I like to joke that it is. It's a really elegant set of movements that are really challenging, even at lightweight. So, my curiosity gets wrapped up in, okay, well, how do I do this better? How do I refine this? It was a couple weeks ago, it was the World Championship of Olympic lifting. So I sat and I watched hours of like these top athletes doing the same thing that I do in the gym, but doing it like way more elegantly,
Right.
doing it with a hell of a lot more weight than I can lift.
Right.
But it kind of keeps me going forward. Then there's this third level to it because it isn't just what I do in the gym. It's also, I'm going to say we, because it's me and my business partner, best friend, Sean Carson. He lifts as well. It's also, what are the things that we can do outside the gym to enhance performance, enhance daily performance in the gym, enhance performance in competitions, and really just, have a better quality of physical life. So then that kind of sent me down um, this entire tunnel of getting into nootropics and stacking nootropics, playing with my own biochemistry.
Nootropics. What's nootropics?
Nootropics are the ones I use anyway. They're naturally occurring substances
Mhm.
that either trigger the release of particular neurotransmitters and neuropeptides in us, or they mimic them.
Uh-huh.
So certain mushrooms, for example, do some great things if you're into bodybuilding, if you're into athletic performance,
Okay.
because they mimic certain neurotransmitters. They also play with how the body handles inflammation and how the body synthesizes glucose and energy, and
So you
it impacts the energy output.
so you're taking neurotropics and doing all of that stuff to also help enhance or push your body with that curiosity that you had as far as you can go. And so you're taking something else with it, which are natural stuff, to whether it's trick the body to say, no, I'm not sore, or yes, I can lift more, or oh, I can go longer, or whatever it is to enhance that, right?
Yeah, and here's the cool thing, because it doesn't stop there. If you have curiosity, the rabbit hole goes real deep. Because then from there, I jumped into reading a lot about quantum physics
Uh-huh.
and reading a lot about the use of psychedelics in therapy and
Right.
enlightenment.
Right.
Uh, right now, I just finished a book, a really excellent book that I highly recommend about mushrooms from like the top mycologist in the US, at least like one of the most popular mycologists in the US.
Uh-huh.
Um, So it just,
Wait,
curiosity.
What's the name of that book?
It's called Mycelium Running. It's
Okay.
it's by Paul Stamets.
Yeah, I had to stop you because you said I recommend this book, and I had to.
Oh,
Go,
sorry.
No,
It's so excited.
I know.
I get so excited to just go, whoo.
Well, you have a lot of information and about a lot of stuff, and that's what I've always admired about you and Sean and everyone. And I'm kind of simple. I just go, okay. I want to go back to curiosity because that's where we started. Because I want to find out, you were in a place that you decided to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm guessing you're curious, or someone said, hey, let's go lift weights.
Well, not quite. So, I got into it because, Sean kept saying, hey, when are you going to come lift weights? But I didn't, because I never saw myself ever as a weightlifter. I never even saw myself as an athlete, even as a dancer. I always saw myself more on the artistic side. And then after I had a lot of vision loss a couple of years ago, Sean had just run a Spartan race, which is an adventure race. It's like 4 miles long. There's 20 obstacles, like climbing walls and moving heavy things. And we were out to dinner the night that he had finished his first race. And I just, like, out of nowhere, I said, you know what, I'm going to do it next year.
Wow.
So great. And like, if I say I'm going to do something, like, this is kind of one of my personal rules as well. I come hell or high water, I will try to make it happen. Most times I do, sometimes life happens. Yeah. So I set the goal a year in the future to run this race. And then I was like, well, I was close to 40 pounds heavier than what I am now. I was completely out of shape. There was no way I was climbing anything. I was like, well, okay, I better, start going to the gym.
Makes sense.
So I joined the Y. I did that for like 2 months, and it was okay. I didn't get much out of it though, because I like a little bit of structure. And so, like, someone who doesn't go to the gym regularly, you go to the gym and you like see all these machines, and it's like, okay, I'll try that one. But right. There's no structure. For me, there was no way to make that work to help me achieve my goal. Right. So I had gone to a CrossFit class with Sean. It was like the most difficult, horrible experience of my life. So instinctually, it made me say, I need to do more of this. Right. Let's do it again. Right. And that was really kind of the springboard into this whole world of Olympic lifting, powerlifting, all of that stuff. So it's, curiosity and a little bit of my own internal polarity responder is kind of what pushed that forward. Right.
I was kind of curious, I was kind of curious about that because I had known you from conferences and things a bit before, and mm-hmm. then all of a sudden, to me, because we don't speak on a regular basis or anything like that, oh, she's in weightlifting, and you put that online. You show your lifts. You show what you're doing, which I think is always pretty cool for hypnotists or change workers or people that help other people, to show that you actually walk your talk, sort of thing. And I find that very important in any of us that are helping others,
Yeah, I agree. I think, as hypnotists, as coaches, we have a responsibility to do our own inner work. And for different people, that will take on different forms. Right. For me, it was very much so in a physical embodiment. I did a lot of inner work. I still do a lot of inner work now as well, to help kind of match what I'm doing on the outside. Right. Everybody is different, but I think it's really important for us as change workers to have these personal moments of transformation, because that's what creates conviction. That's what creates confidence. And that's what we will automatically, unconsciously model to our clients. Right. Even if we don't tell them our story, we will carry it in our physiology. We will carry it in our words. We will carry it in the presuppositions that we bring to our sessions. It's really powerful.
It's interesting that even our shame or our doubt or our, like you said, confidence, all the positive I hate to say positive, negatives, good, bad, because it's really putting judgment on it, but all the range of emotions and feelings that we have about ourselves or about what we're doing and who we are, we bring all of that with our clients and with our work. And so it's so important. I know I talk a lot about when I teach is, who do you want to be? And what kind, if you're becoming a hypnotist, what kind of hypnotist you're going to be? If you're listening to this and you're not a hypnotist, what kind of accountant do you want to be? What kind of, if you're opening your business, what kind of business owner do you want to be? What kind of atmosphere do you want to create? And it has to start with you, knowing who you are. And a lot of times, with that curiosity that we're talking about, you can start, at point A, and point D is way up here, but you see yourself or can be curious enough to get to B. No one says you have to be D right away.
Yes.
And get to the next level of enjoying that B level and getting strong in that to get to the C. Or the C might come suddenly and you don't know it. You go, okay, I'm curious. Can I do C now? Yes or no. It doesn't matter. It's not good or bad. Oh, I couldn't. It could be, okay, I'm only a B.5.
Yeah. It's never no. It's just sometimes yes, but not now.
Yeah. Timer's going off. That means we've, so my question to you, we have a couple of minutes. What if you wanted to leave people with one thing about curiosity or about change that they could do today, if they're even if they're in the deepest, which even if they're in the deepest of their darkest and they have no one, or maybe it's someone that's light that just wants to just try something else, what is that thing that you feel like you can say to them with curiosity?
I would say a couple of things. The first is for people who are feeling stuck, know that all you are is changing. Sometimes it feels like we're not changing, but you are. We are always in a state of changing. We are never stagnant. Yeah. So be curious about what's the next small step you can take today that will help to make you feel different. It doesn't mean that taking a small step today is going to change everything, but what you want to do is to start intentionally creating small changes that will lead to big changes. And then overall, whether you're the accountant or you're the hypnotist, and I think, especially for hypnotists, I hope you guys take this advice. We tend to kind of get in our own little cocoon. We go to conferences and we learn techniques, we learn, philosophies of change. All that stuff is great. But it's limited in that it's all still within this frame of hypnosis or coaching or NLP. So we're not leveraging the rest of our brain. Right. Start being curious, start introducing in things that have nothing to do with the hypnosis world. I modeled this from both John Overdorf and Sean about, read as much as you can about these things that seem like they have nothing to do with each other. I'm reading about mushrooms, psychedelics, and physics of time. I mean, this really has nothing overtly to do, but it does. Yeah. Because as you start to exercise in all these kind of seemingly disconnected areas, right, what it's going to do is it's going to create new neural connections, and you can start bringing those areas into your change work, either intentionally or most of the time it's unintentional. Right. It'll come through in your metaphors and just how you think about clients and how you think about change. So learn as much from different areas. Right. There's lots of great books. There's lots of great podcasts out there. Just keep learning and expand that bubble. Understand that hypnosis and coaching isn't just the we do in sessions. It's the whole package. Right. Whole package. It's the space in between you and the client. So that would be my advice.
Well, that. Rewind, everybody, and listen to it again. Jess, I want to thank you for your time and giving us so much information and so much of your spirit. Where can people find you?
Sure. You can find me at theintelligenthypnotist.com, all one word. You can also email me at theintelligenthypnotist@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook. Many of the people out there in the hypnosis community were probably friends, so reach out and say hi. So those are really the main areas: Facebook, email, website. You can check out our books on Amazon. We, myself, Sean, and Sarah, we have a bunch of them, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and YouTube. We're on YouTube as well.
On YouTube. Yeah, you have some good stuff on classes. Suggestions and Ericksonian stuff and things like that I've seen you guys do. So that's great. So people can find me at hypnosisla.com or on Facebook. I also have Time to Get Unstuck Facebook page, or Greg Beckett Motivational Hypnotist. So there's a lot of places to find me. And I want to thank Jess again for being here, and all of you for watching. And until the next episode comes through, thanks for your time and have a great week.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. It was
Thank
great
you.
to chat with you.
All right. Ciao, everybody.